the Bunnies, they get a huge boost ahead of Indigenous round for round 23. Latrell Mitchell's looking to return for them off the extended bench. The Panthers, they're going to be missing Isaiah Yeo, sadly, so a big loss for them. And Tom Trbojevic, he ends up back with the one on his back. So plenty to talk through. Let's get into it.
It's time to strap in and get ready. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
G'day everybody, welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. It is TLT for round 23. It is Indigenous round, so there is some big games to be played this week, some cracking matchups, and of course the show is brought to you by Gameday Squad, bringing you the crossover between card collecting and fantasy sports. You can play and win for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. You can just go and download the app. GamedaySquad.com.au is the website. Chuck in that code IFSAUS, and thanks to us, you'll be getting 27 cards, I should say, valued at around $21 to get your squad started. And the beauty of it is, just because it's round 23 and you've never played before, that doesn't matter, because there are weekly prizes up for grabs and you can compete with the best of us. So go and download Gameday Squad from the App Store. Use the code IFSAUS to get yourself started, get stuck in. Now, of course, we've got plenty to get through, so let's rip straight into these games. In the first game, could be near the game of the round. We've got the Storm coming up at home at Amy Park against the Broncos. Now, 2nd versus 6th. The Storm look like favourites in this one, but I tell you what, we shouldn't be writing the Broncos off. They get a couple of real big boosts back. One in particular is Payne Haas, so we'll talk about them. But let's start with the Storm. They've gone 1-17. Craig Bellamy backing in his guys here, except Trent Liero now obviously coming back in after that rest. So some good news for the Storm. They're looking pretty strong there. Tyron Wishart still in the 7. No Jerome Hughes. He won't be back until close to finals now for the Storm. He'll be pushing to get back for that first matchup, I would naturally assume. Stefano still starting in this lineup. Jonah Pezzett still in the 14. Lasati is the man to drop from the 13. Back to the bench in the 15 jersey. Joe Chan still on the bench as well. Kane Bradley, for those of you super coaches in there that have Kane Bradley, hoping he doesn't play, just keep an eye out on Wednesday evening at around 8 p.m. to see whether he's still in that starting 19. But that is the Storm. No changes aside from Liero coming back in. So good grab for them. Now, the Broncos, they lose Xavier Willison, sadly. It looks like a broken forearm for him. So he's going to spend some time on the sidelines. Corey Jensen is the man to stay in the starting rotation at starting prop in the 8. And Payne Haas returns after that infection last week. Ruled him out, ended up in hospital, couldn't get out in time, wasn't fit enough. So now he is back, which is great news for Supercoach and fantasy players and Gameday Squad players alike, but a bigger news for the Broncos in a very, very important matchup against the Storm at home. A tough road trip for them, but I'm going to back them in. I'm going to back them in to go down there and prove a point. I think if they play anywhere near, we know they were playing a poor opposition last week in Souths, but the Broncos, hopefully they get a bit of momentum from that. I think that they can put it to the Storm here. The Storm have shown that there's kinks in the armour down there in Melbourne, so I'm going to be backing the Broncos in this one. Another big game potentially for Reece Walsh incoming as well. Let's move into the Knights versus the Panthers. Now the Knights, they've come into this one with a couple of changes. Bradman Best comes back into the team, so he comes back after the 735th hamstring injury he's had over the last 3 years. So good that's boosting those backline stocks for the Knights. Jake Arthur, also the man to come in and make his club debut in the 6 jersey this year. Jackson Hastings is the man that drops out, of course, as well as Tyson Gamble ends up on the bench. The extended bench, I should say, as well. Thomas Kant has come onto the bench with Elijah Salisa Leimoana. So, a couple of changes there, a couple of shuffles around. But, Jermaine McEwen's still on the edge there. Tyson Frizzell still on the bench. Jaden Brayley, the starting 9. So, some good ins there. Bradman Best definitely huge for the Knights, and I think he could probably exploit that right side defence for the Panthers. So we know that they've definitely been exploited at different times. It'll be very interesting to see how the Panthers go in this one, because for the most part, the Knights have actually been pretty good defensively. So take nothing away from them. I don't think it'll be an absolute roll through as we have normally seen over the last month with Panthers games, but I think they're going to be they've got a pretty tough task ahead of them, that's for sure. I think I'll be backing the Panthers one. I'll be backing them in pretty comfortably here. Otherwise, extended bench as is. I don't see too many late changes here for them. For the Panthers, though, they do miss Isaiah Yeo. He's out with that shoulder injury. Scans came back clearing him of significant injury, which is great news. But it looks like, not enough to get him back in for this game. And naturally, the last thing you need to do is risk one of your best players at this time of the year. Luron Patea also sadly missing there as well through injury. So they do get boosted though with Scott Sorensen coming back in on the bench for them. So the backline remains the same. Leota and Smith up front. Kenny is the hooker. Luke Garner is partnered with Liam Martin, who was a late omission from the starting team last week. So he's back into the starters. Isaiah Papali'i is the man to replace Isaiah Yeo in the 13 jersey. And then onto the bench comes Scott Sorensen there to provide some really versatile middle and edge cover there for the starters. So a good, well-balanced team. Paul Alamotti is the 18th man there as well. So, it'll be interesting to see whether there's any late changes with Alamotti coming into this team. I know Brian To'o's been battling some injuries, so we'll be watching out for a Brian To'o rest at some point in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd naturally assume. We'll be backing the Panthers pretty heavily in this one, but I wouldn't say it's going to be a complete blowout. I think the Knights are going to be up for this one at home at McDonald Jones. So, very interesting, that one. Now, let's get on to the Friday 8 p.m. game. It is Raiders up against the Sea Eagles. It is at GIO Stadium, a bloody tough place to go to. The Raiders been playing some pretty good footy up until now, but poor last week. So let's see if they can bounce back. No changes. Ricky Stewart's gone 1-17 for the Raiders there. Jed Stewart still on the wing. No Savelio Tamale, but as per all reports, a lot of reports across the internet at the moment are saying that both Tamale and Nicholson will be back after the bye for the Raiders. So the Raiders do have a round 24 bye, so they've got a week off next week. And then the boys, both of those guys, will play Cup in round 24, and then they will be aiming to return in round 25. So keep an eye out there for Jed Stewart and, implications for Zach Hosking, who may end up moving to the middle rotation or off the bench as opposed to playing on an edge. So, lots to see shake out here, but they've gone 1-17 for this week against Manly. Now, Manly haven't. They've got a couple of outs. Ben Trebojevic, he's out with a concussion, so he's in HIA protocol. And Le'i Hopewadi's out with a shoulder injury after last week, which means Tommy Trebojevic back in the 1 jersey. For those of you pod hunters that want to take a crack, I can't do it. I've already brought him in and out twice, but, maybe third time's the charm, hey? Tommy Turbo's been looking good. Playing in that hybrid centre fullback kind of role. Obviously they're backing him in with Lehi out this week, and I would naturally assume, I think the rumours were that Lehi was going to be going back to the wing anyway. So, let's see how that all looks next week. Tommy Talau's the man to come in at centre there. Garrick and Saab are the wingers. The halves remain the same. Michael Cheekham, he comes in for Ben Trebojevic on the edge to play his first game of 2025 as well. Jake Trebojevic remains in the 13 jersey. Aaron Schopp comes onto the bench in the 15 to partner Bullymore, Sipley and Simpkin, the regulars there, off the bench. Otherwise, that is it for Seabold's men at Manly. I'm going to be backing the Raiders in this game. Again, I think it might be a little bit closer than what we thought, but Manly, they're really struggling to find form at the moment. They scored 4 points last week, and I think it was 4 points the week before. So they really need something in attack this week, and if there's anyone that can do it, it's the man in the number 1 for them. So let's see Tommy Turbo have a big game against the Raiders. Now let's move on to the Dragons versus the Sharks. The first game on Saturday at 3 p.m. It is at Oakey Jubilee Stadium. So home game for the Dragons, but tough matchup, Battle of the Shire. So the Shane Flanagan, he's backing his man in. He's gone 1-17 again. Tyrell Sloan, I think he scored 6 tries in 5 games. So he's starting to find the line, which is good. Good for confidence, and for him, he's a very confidence-backed player. So the Sharks only making 1 change at this point by the looks of things. It looks like Jesse Colquhoun is the man that is out off the bench there, and Toby Rudolph, he comes back in to claim his spot on the bench. So aside from that, you see very minimal changes across the Sharks lineup. Actually, you will see 0 changes aside from that. The Shire teams coming up against each other at Jubilee Stadium. I'm going to back the Sharks in. I feel like the Dragons defensively there's been a lot of lapses defensively, and I think that the Sharks can definitely exploit their edges. Specifically that left edge. Ronaldo Mulatalo's been on a tear the last couple of weeks as well. Trindle's doing some good stuff either side of the ruck, and Nico now combining with Nikora, who's back in the team. there's good things to come from the next couple of games, I think, for the Sharks. And this is that momentum that I really think that they need coming into finals football. So let's see how the Sharks go. We'll be back in the Sharks in this game. Let's move on to 5:30. We've got the Dolphins, I should say, up against the Roosters at Suncorp. So it is a home game for them. They do miss Felice Kafusi, who will be out with a suspension yet again. Man knows how to find one. And of course, the biggest news from last week in Herbie Farnworth, he'll be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. So we do see Tavita Nafahu come in to replace Herbie Farnworth at centre. We also see Mark Nichols come in and start for Felice Kafusi at prop. We also see Kalikefu Finafuiaki. He is playing his first game in, I think, nearly 6 weeks, coming back from that. I think it was a broken hand. So he is on the bench there. So keep an eye out for a late switch with Connolly Lemuelu. I think there's every chance they swap there and Finafuiaki starts. I know Christian Wolf loves playing Lemuelu off the bench as an impact edge middle. So I think there's every chance that could happen in this game. Otherwise, they go unchanged aside from those different movements there. For the Roosters, of course, Trent Robinson's backing his men in here as well. So, there's very minimal changes across the NRL, which is great news for all of us because we're not seeing too many of our players succumb to injury, thankfully. But it's probably good for these teams to get some momentum coming into the finals period as well. A lot of these guys still competing deep into the tournament, and there is still a lot to play out when we look at the NRL ladder as well. Naf White still at prop, Angus Crichton and Saw Wong are the edges. Victor Radley comes back into the starting lineup into 13 there. Benny Ulu, he is in the 14 jersey to relieve Connor Watson there in the 9. We'd naturally assume that we'll see Connor Watson move to 13 at different points if Awilu is the man to replace him there. Butcher, Feketi and Spencer Leniu are the bench as well. Blake Steep dropping out of the lineup, as he did late last week. Sandon Smith also on the extended bench there for Trent Robinson's men. Tough one to pick this one. I'm going to go with the outsiders. I'm going to back the Dolphins in this one at home. I think that, yes, they're missing Kafusi and Farnworth is such a big loss for them, but Cody Nikorima is such an underrated player, and I think that there's some good things he can do to exploit that right edge of the Roosters. So, I'll be backing the Dolphins in. It'll be tight, but I'm going to back the Dolphins in this game. Let's have a look at 7:30's game. It is Bulldogs versus Warriors, 3rd versus 4th. And when you say 3rd versus 4th, you think it's going to be close, but I've got the Bulldogs in a landslide here. The Warriors are on the slide. They've just been copying injuries left, right and centre, and I think it's going to be tough for them coming up against one of the best defensive teams in the competition. I mean, Jacob Carraz stays at fullback. Rena Kama is also on the wing still. Obviously, Connor Tracy's still probably at least 2 to 3 weeks away here. They've also named Lachlan Galvin, who apparently is battling a hand injury and a hip or knee or something like that. There was an image on social media that had his hand all strapped up today. So, keep an eye out for him to see if there's any late changes. We do see Toby Sexton on the extended bench for the Dogs, and I'm sure in case any cover, he can come in and do a perfect job for them if Galvin is out. Now, for the Warriors, they are missing Jacob Laban. It looks like his season's over, sadly. So, they do get a boost, though. They get James Fisher-Harris back. They get Dimitri Valmalga back. They get Chanel Harris-Tavita back. So there's some big ins there for the Warriors, definitely helping them. I think it's going to be a hard task for them, though. But Tane Tuapiki did a fantastic job last week at the back. Chance Nickel-Klokstad, he remains at centre. So it looks like maybe that's the direction they're going to go moving forward. For the rest of the year, it allows Kurt Capewell to get back onto an edge, which I think is where he provides the most value to this team defensively and in attack. Nia Corey has moved into the front row rotation as well with Jackson Ford. Sam Healy still named to start this week. We've still got no sign of Wade Egan this week either. So, that's 2 weeks in a row now. So he's going to miss another game due to that HIA, I think it was from memory. Leka Halasima is still on the edge there. Aaron Clark still in the 13. Valmalga comes back via the bench. So, I'm interested to see how they play here because James Fisher-Harris, he's on the extended bench. Naturally, you would think that he comes back in to replace Murata Niokore, depending on whether they want to use Jackson Ford off the bench or not. I think Jackson Ford's done a fantastic job this year. So I think you could probably use Niokore off the bench, if anything. But, close watch on final teams to see whether the Fish ends up back in the starting lineup. I'll be back in the Bulldogs in this game. Now, let's move on to Sunday's games. We've got the Titans versus the Rabbitos. This could be the spoon bowl of all spoon bowls, I think. We saw the Tigers versus the Eels in round 27 last year. We could be getting an early look at the spoon bowl here on Sunday at 2 p.m. It is at Cbus Super Stadium. Titans versus the Rabbitos, 16th versus 17th. Philip Sami, he's the one to make way. He's out due to a HIA. He copped 2 bad knocks on the weekend. Sad for him. So not a bad replacement in Alofiana Pereira. He comes back into the team here. He's been battling to get back into this team, so he gets an opportunity now to showcase what he can do. If he was in the team extended for the rest of the year, I'd say he wouldn't be a bad little shout there, because the Titans have a nice draw, and the left side looks to be humming through AJ Brimson down that left and Beau Fermor. Aside from that, no other changes there aside from Chris Randall. He comes back in from suspension, so he's back in the team. HIA, I think it is. He comes back into the team to partner Beau Fermor on the edges. Jamin Jolliffe's been doing a fantastic job up front. Sam Verrill's still at hooker. Cleese Haas locking the scrum with no Tino. And the bench remains the same. Jacob Arlick, he drops back to the bench for Randall. And Tom Weaver makes way as per last week. Yeah, still no Tino. Probably another week or 2 away for Tino just yet. So, keep an eye out there. For the Rabbitos, Ryan Gray, Lewis Dodd, they drop out. There's some big names back for the Rabbitos this week, which is really good to see because they just need some luck, these blokes. Jai Gray, he remains at the back, but Latrell Mitchell is on the extended bench, so there is every chance. And I mean, it is Indigenous round. If there's a week that we want Latrell Mitchell back in the team, it's this week. Alex Johnston on the wing with Bailey Bentley Harpe. They've got Tallis Duncan doing a great job at centre. He stays there with Isaiah Tass. Campbell Graham still nowhere to be seen just yet. Ashton Ward stays in the 6 to partner Jamie Humphries, who's back from a HIA as well. Jai Arrow and Kepi are the props. Aitken on an edge with Jacob Host and Lachlan Hubner still in the 13. Cam Murray not far away either, so keep an eye on that. Brandon Smith and Pete Mamazelis back in the team as well for Souths this week. Pete Mamazelis coming back from that HIA, and Brandon Smith coming back from that knee injury that he's missed a couple of games with. So good to see him back in the team. Let's hope he can get through the rest of the year injury free. Ty Munro, he drops out. Shaq Mitchell is on the extended as well, but yeah, Latrell Mitchell, big eyes on Latrell Mitchell to see whether he ends up coming in on Sunday. I'm sure we will know a lot more throughout the weekend, so stay tuned on the Insight NRL on Instagram. We'll update you as quickly as we can on whether Latrell is going to be in and out. And for anybody who doesn't know, we do the final team 1 hour cuts on our stories every single week. It's on X, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, so you can go and check it out there at Insight NRL or Insight F Sports. The final game on Sunday is another ordinary game, Eels versus the Cowboys. At CommBank, Eels just grow another leg at CommBank, so I'm going to be backing the Eels in this one, but I reckon there's going to be absolutely points galore. 2 pretty ordinary defensive teams who can't seem to, they can't seem to stop anyone at this point, so I reckon we could see a very high-scoring affair, 60 points plus in this game. For the Eels, Sam Tuivasa, he dropped out. Sean Russell also out, so he's out with injury. Jordan Samarani replaces him at centre. Dean Hawkins, he's still in the 6. Mitchell Moses in the 7. Hopgood and Polo are the props. Guymer and Jack Williams are the edges. Dylan Walker has been doing a great job in the 13. He locks the scrum once again, and the bench remains the same. Kelma Tuolangi back into the 17, in the 17 jersey. Dylan Brown still nowhere to be seen. Off to the shadow realm for Dylan Brown in his preparation to head over to Newcastle next year. Griffin Neame and Rob Darby are the 2 to drop out for the Cowboys. Now, there is a lot of shuffling going on yet again from Todd Payton's men. He did this again last week. There's a lot going on with this squad. But Jason Taumalolo's back, which is great news. Jake Clifford's also back, which is great for Scott Drinkwater. Viliami Vailea, he comes back into centre as well. So we see Jackson Purdue. He moves back from the halves into centre, which is definitely best for him and best for the Cowboys at this point in time. Zach Labart, he moves from centre to the wing to accommodate Viliami Vailea. Braden Burns, he remains the constant there on the wing. I never thought I'd be saying that. Yeah, for the Cowboys. Jake Clifford back in the halves with Tom Dearden, who's been immense the last few weeks. Harrison Edwards and Jason Taumalolo are the props. Griffin Neame, like I said, drops out. John Bateman and Nanai gets to move back from centres to the edge. For last week, definitely a preferred position for him and a guy that I'll be playing this week in Start v Sit Conundrums. Ruben Cotter in the 13. We've got Bitangane, we've got McKaylee, O'Donnell and Hess are the bench. Semi Valame also looking to come back from a long-term injury this year. So yeah, lots to see, lots happening at the Cowboys, and I would not be surprised if we see a fair bit more shuffling to go as the week goes on and the squads get cut. I'll be backing the Eels in this one at home. I think Mitchell Moses is such an influential player for the Eels. They just grow another leg with him, and I think Zach Lomax has had a couple of quiet weeks. I think we're due for a big one from him too. So that brings us to the end. That is TLT. It is Indigenous round. Get amongst it. Going to be a great weekend of footy. Hopefully your team gets up. And of course, if you haven't yet, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss any of the future shows that we do on not just NRL Supercoach, but if you love your other sports, we've got them all covered here on the network. So go and hit that subscribe button, and also hit the like button if you do like the show and you think it's beneficial. Share it with a mate, and it'll help us get out to more people. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch you for our regular shows throughout the week. See you then.